This
Automatically
meeting is being
live.
recorded.
Hold on. I'm sorry.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're going to be starting in just a second.
Okay.
All right, I know you all can see me now. I'm about to post so we can go live. All right, here we go. All right, hello for all of you folks who can see me now. We are on live and back. We're so happy to be back with you all at this point. We've been gone for a couple of weeks. You may have seen some really exciting news from me. I've spent the last, oh my goodness, 4 to 5 weeks traveling back and forth to the Hampton Roads area because I had the opportunity to be a part of a filming that will be aired on Netflix by end of the year, beginning of next year. And so it's just been a real blessing, but it has also taken up a lot of time where I would have spent with you all. So I'm glad to be back, and we are ready for our Tuesday night shares. So I'm going to ask you to share, let someone know that we are here. We have a special guest with us, and I would absolutely love to have a full house as she shares with us tonight. We know that some of you will end up watching the recording, but I am sharing right now, and I'm hoping that you will do the same. Share with someone, let them know that Real Women is on. We are back and popping, and we want to have a great discussion. This is our opportunity to really share who we are and what we are about, and give you a sneak peek into what it's like to be a part of our discussions on a monthly basis. All right, I've done all my sharing, so I can talk to you now. What happens is we end up talking on a monthly basis in live in-person sister circles, and we do that in 5 separate sister circles in Charles County, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, Northern Virginia, and Hampton Roads, Virginia. And we also have a virtual young adult Real Women community. And we have an awesome time connecting, talking about real things that women deal with. We create a safe space for women to do personal development work on themselves. And we would absolutely love for you to join us. But you're going to have to join us in September, because this is our self-care month. We are so serious about self-care that we have made a conscious decision to make sure we take a month off of the year. And we're encouraging you to do something related to self-care for yourself. If you're a part of our All Access community, though, we still do have a virtual sister circle so that you can connect in the comfort of your own home. And so if you are not a part of our sister circles, if you are not a part of our All Access community, or if you just want to know more information about us, please visit us at realwomenrock.org. Again, realwomenrock.org. For those of you who don't know, my name is Trinace Richardson, and I'm the founder of Real Women. And we are just so elated to provide a safe space for women to do personal development work on themselves. And so that's my 5-minute intro to make sure that you understand what's happening in the life of Real Women. I do want to say that I'm going to share a little bit more at the end, but we have an incredible intensive that is coming up. Oh my goodness, this intensive is coming up September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And we have entitled it Real Women Are Out of This World. And we really want to make sure that you are there with us. It is an opportunity for 3 days of what we call sister circles on steroids, where you get to connect with other women, grow your personal confidence, and become a catalyst of positive change in your life and in the life of others. And we have guest facilitators joining us this time. We have Reverend Sabrina Mangrum, Reverend Dr. Anika Wilson Brown, and Reverend Dr. Vicki Johnson. It is going, and I will be facilitating as well. It's going to be an amazing time. You don't want to miss it. You really need to register today, but no later than August 10th, because that's when the hotel rooms kind of disappear on us. And so now I'm done. I will revisit some of those announcements, but I really want to make sure that you get to connect with this incredible woman who is with us tonight. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. Number one, because we get to connect for the first time. And so we have been in the same community, coaching community together, but I really get to have this in-depth conversation in front of you all with this wonderful woman. And so I'm going to ask that you would not mind introducing yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself so that we can dig right into the conversation.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's like an honor. As I hear you talking, I'm like, okay, now I understand why we connected and why we doing this. Some of your verbiage, some of the exact words you use, I'm like, oh my gosh. So thank you for the opportunity. That's the first thing I want to say. But my name is Simene Walden. Some of you may know me by the student teacher. I'm a teacher by vocation, for my profession as a teacher, educated in the school system, but I'm also an author, speaker, a coach, and a consultant. And so I am originally from North Carolina. I live in Maryland now. I've been here for 4 years. Absolutely hated it at first, but I know this was the wilderness place that God prepared for me to flourish. And so now I love it. And I'm just excited to be a part tonight. So again, thank you so, so much.
Oh, well, thank you. And it's Simene, right? I want to make sure I say it right. Yes, it is beautiful. I love your name. And I am so glad you are here. Yeah, I was reading about you and the wonderful things that you are doing. And I was like, this is what it is all about. It's all about collaboration. It's all about connecting. So I'm so glad that you're with us. And thank you for sharing some of the work that you do. This is, I want you to know, Simene, that this is really an interactive conversation that we have with those who join us. And so as I'm asking you questions, I will be asking our audience as well, in the hope that our community will kind of go back and forth with us so we can read some of their comments. So I'm going to ask that every last one of you engage, even if you're multitasking. Stay tuned in so that when we ask some questions of you, you will be able to tune in and answer some questions for us. Please feel free to say hello. Hey, Linda. Hey, Taj. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Judith. Come on in. Let someone know that we're here. We're about to talk about a couple of things, and I think I want to start with where I sort of ended in our preparation for the conversation, because I want to start with the fact that you're a multi-book author. You have authored several books, but I was really drawn to your latest work that has a book mixer coming out in this month, and so you can talk about that. But I love this title, Unmasked to Heal. Oh, so if you could talk about kind of where that book comes from, like out of you, where is that birthed out of? What led you to that book? And then you can tell us anything else you want about it.
Okay. So last January, I did a Facebook Live. It was something that the Lord had just dropped on me. I used to be, when I first came to Maryland, I was a part of the parking lot ministry at this church I was serving in. They give you reflector jackets.
Uh-huh.
So I put the reflector jacket on, and I had like this little mask, and I came on and I talked about how sometimes we have on a life jacket or a reflector jacket asking for help, but people tend to look over us because we look like we have it all together. And
Wow.
so it was a Facebook Live.
Wow.
And a couple months later, the Lord just kept downloading to me more and more. And so I said, okay, we're going to have a meetup with just women who are all from this area.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it. It's called Unmask.
Mm.
And as it just started to unfold, it became something more than just women. And it turned into an event that I did last November. Was called Unmask. It was 11 men and women coming from all walks of life, just talking about all of the trauma, the pain that they went through. And I was like, it has to be more than just this event. And I posted it later. I posted to people, we're going to turn this into a book anthology too. It'll be an annual event, but it'll also be in a book. And the people that were supposed to gather, they responded to me, and it was 4 amazing women. We have a woman from Missouri, 2 from Virginia, and then 1 from Maryland, and then myself, who have really unveiled stuff. And at first it was just only called Unmask. Yeah. And one of my mentors said to me, she says, Simene, what are y'all unmasking? Like, what are you unmasking for? And I was like, well, tell the story. And she like, no, it's more than just tell this. Or she says, you're unmasking to heal. And, Revelation says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimonies. So I was like, unmasked to heal it is. And so that's where it all started from. And truly those women, some of those women, because most of the women that are my target also be women that are older. They're in their late 40s, early 50s. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these women have held on to stuff from childhood for 30 and 40 years that they never shared. And I was like, I don't take this for granted that you guys trusted me enough to write this stuff down, even in the midst of you being fearful and afraid and what your family would say and what people going to think when they read it. And so it's been a long journey, because at first we were supposed to do our book launch June 1st. And, the Lord was like, no, it's not time. And so it's at the end of the month, August 31st, here in Greenbelt, Maryland. And I'm really excited about it because people really get to share their authentic stories. And when you talked about creating safe spaces, Unmasked last year was a safe space. Typically when I have my events, I don't do live streaming because I want people to feel safe to share stuff without it reaching, different places that they may not want it to reach. And so this is what this book launch is going to be. People really able to share things that's not even written in the book or in this book particular, but to really be able to share their heart about how they were able to tell their story and receive the healing that they needed as they spoke out.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that overview of where the book came from and sort of what people can look forward to as a result of it coming. And then the August 31st event, I'm really excited about that. And so I would encourage all of you all to go to Simene's page and really support what's happening. Let me tell you why this topic is so important. And I'm going to ask now for anyone who is engaged in listening and connected with us, even if it's the recording. Here's my first question to you. Have you experienced an opportunity for you to share your story where you have on the other side of sharing your story, you've experienced healing or restoration, or you've helped somebody else as a result of telling your story? I think that is so key for us to hone in on, that if there are any of us who have experienced healing or restoration or helping encourage and inspire and motivate someone else as a result of telling our stories, it is really life-giving to someone who feels like they're going through something and they're just going through by themselves, and they feel isolated and they feel alone and they don't feel like there is anyone else who could possibly be going through what they're going through. And so they hide under shame and guilt and regret and all of those things as a result. And so if there's anyone out there who has, as a result of telling your story, you have helped someone else experience healing, restoration, any kind of encouragement or motivation, please just share with us in the chat that you can attest to the fact that this kind of movement that Simene is starting will be a blessing to people. And so I want to ask you, Simene, kind of what led you personally to do the work that you do. Not only do you write books, but you help other people write books, which I think is incredible. So y'all listening, if you want to write a book, listen up. Simene helps people write books. She's considered an academic coach, a book coach. She edits books. She not only writes them herself, but she supports others in doing so. And then, all of the other pieces that come along with coaching. What led you to the work that you do?
So when I first moved to Maryland, I had never ever shared my story publicly. I'd always had mentors and women using in ministry who taken a liking to me, older women who take a liking to me, and really just helped me through some things. And when I came to Maryland, I found a ministry called All Things New to help me work through some of the things that I was going through and some of my issues from my past. And my teacher was like, we had to go through a part in our journey where we shared our testimony, and it's full from a childhood up until adulthood, and that was very, very hard. And I had a mentor. And so in class one night, she said, we shared it, and that was my first time ever speaking out about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, she says, well, we're going to have a symposium. I want you to share. And I said, well, no, I'm not going to share. She's like, yeah, I think you should. I'm like, no, like I could tell it was like 8 of us. I could tell you, but
right.
I'm not telling the world. No way. And so my mentor is like, Simene, you can do it. And I'm like, no, I can't. And so they just kept pushing me, and I was like, well, forget it, I'm gonna do it. And the first time I did it, I kind of held back. I just said, little surface stuff, like nothing too deep. But it was still effective for people. And the next year she said, I want you to go to Atlanta to this event, and I want you to share it. I'm like, well, wait a minute, lady, like you're really pushing me. So I did.
Yeah.
And I always write out my testimonies. Whenever I'm speaking, I always write my stuff out because I have so much to share, and I want to make sure I stay on target and I stay on point. And so I wrote it out. And at the end, this lady came up to me and was like, can I have your testimony? And I'm like, why? Wow. So I said, okay. So I came back to Maryland. I told mentor, I said, hey, this lady said she want my testimony, but I don't know what she want to do with it. Like, what should I do? So she's like, well, you can send it to her. I said, okay, well, let me take out some things. So some other stuff that I said, well, I don't know where it's going to go again. So let me take this out. I sent it to her.
Wow.
About 6 months later, the pastor who was there reached out to the event host that invited me to get my contact information. He emailed me. He was like, we were so moved by your testimony. Can you please send it to me? And I sent it to him, and then they sent me a check in the mail for sending me their testimony.
Wow.
I was just like, wow. And it's like every time I kept sharing my testimony, people kept asking, can I have it? And I'm thinking, okay, well, if they want my testimony, perhaps if I write more in the book, they'll pay for that. And that started my journey to really writing and publishing. And once I published my first book, it was literally like the script says that he'll make your pen the mouth of a ready writer. And within like 17 months, I had self-published 8 books. And it was just coming out and coming out. And so it all started because I decided to tell my story, and people saw the gift and said, well, I want to read and receive what you wrote. And it just continued to progress over time.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Girl, you got me wanting a copy of that testimony. I want a copy. Shucks. You send people a piece of electronic document, and you didn't put attach a price tag to it, and they still sent you money. That's a testimony. So thank you for sharing that. It sounds like, Taj and some others are sharing in the chat that yes, sharing testimonies with, or stories with, whatever you call it, with adult learners has been amazing for her. And it is restorative, it is healing, and it is encouraging to other people to hear it. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. And I know that some folks are going to want to get your book as a result. I really want to talk for a second because you are a big supporter of collaborations and creating really good relationships with others. And I really want to know from all of you all that are watching on whether it's live now or on the recording, have you had good experiences when it comes to working with others? Because Simene has shared with us that she's written books, she's done some by herself, but she's also done some collaborations with some folks and has a book anthology that is coming out, and they're doing a book mixer this year for it. And then I just know overall you are a big supporter of collaborations and creating good relationships. So those of you who are in the chat, do you believe in collaboration? Why or why not? If you don't, if you have been burned by collaboration, talk to us about it in the chat. If you have been burned by, it's really hard to trust people enough to work with them. That's hard. So can you talk about why that is so important to you, Simene, while some of our viewers put in the chat what their experience has been about collaboration?
Initially growing up, I saw a lot of people working together, and I saw a lot of people getting along. And in school, I became quite competitive with my classmates. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we would work together, and other times they would be competing against you, that they didn't want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started seeing that dynamic, I said, I don't really want to be a part of that. And so going throughout school and high school, I was um I tried to make good relationships, but because I was still hurt, broken, or I was being broken as a little child, that I didn't do it too well. And it wasn't until I got maybe in my mid-20s when I realized, dang, I'm not having really success with good relationships. And so what's the problem? And, I used to blame everybody else until I had to do a self-examination of myself and saying, well, Simene, you're the equation in all of these relationships. So you got to kind of look at what you were doing. And what I started doing is start to watch and model other people who had long-standing relationships with friends who were good friends. Because, sometimes you can have a good friend. I'm always very mindful of paying attention to people in a conversation that they have about their friends. If they are, or someone close or in ministry they work with, if they're talking about them to me, that's not a person I want to emulate myself out of, or even to get to know them. Because if they're doing it to somebody that they say they're in ministry with, or they're married to, or they've been friends for 15 years, and they're talking to me, it's like, so I was watching people who had good relationships, not perfect, but good relationships. And I said, I want that. And when I start changing, I start attracting those people. And when I saw how people would genuinely come to me to help me and didn't want anything from me and wouldn't share my stuff out, I said, I want to be that person. I want to be that safe person and create safe spaces where people can come and do that for me. And the fact that so many people, God sent so many people in my life to do that, my life flourished. People just helped me genuinely. And I said, as much as I can now, I want to do that for other people.
Yeah. Oh, that is so good. So it sounds like, similar to me, you have experienced it a little on both sides. Mm-hmm. and as a result, it just made you more intentional about creating positivity and in your connections with people, such that the collaborations and the relationships that you established were positive ones. I think that's an awesome way to take your circumstances and your past experiences and flip them on their head. And it looks like, some folks say, collaborations are great. Everyone gets to win if they're willing to enter for the right reasons. And I think that is so key, that if you are entering into it for the right reasons, because there is no need to be selfish. There is no need to be greedy. There is no need to be egotistical if you're going to come into a relationship or a partnership or a collaboration with someone. You might as well be by yourself doing it by yourself. If you're going to make it about you, make it all about you and not connect with anybody else, right? You might as well just stay in your corner. But if you're going to collaborate with other people, it's really a moment to put ego to the side, to put competition to the side, and really to see what we all bring to the table and how we can work best together to create something. This is what I think is so big, Simene. It's creating something bigger than we could have done by ourselves alone. Yeah. If we do it the right way, 2 heads are better than 1. And then, 3 heads are better than 2. And it really does create something bigger and more beautiful if it's done right. And so I think that's awesome that you are walking your talk, that you have decided and committed within yourself to create collaborations, but you're walking that out by professionally creating these kinds of book anthologies that would connect people. And then in the work that you're doing, making connections with people. I think that's important. Well, this time always flies by really fast. I never prepare any more than 3 or 4 questions because I'm like, it's going to go. It's just the conversation's going to fly. I would like to know from you what advice you would give to women, and I'm just going to give you the floor to handle it whichever way you like, because we've discussed unmasking to heal and the power of telling our story and how that can really help us as well as someone else. And we've also talked about, becoming a little bit more vulnerable and dropping our pride and our ego to create collaborations. So if you had to give advice to women, women are primarily our audience, but I'm sure some men will catch the crumbs from whatever you share. But what advice would you give to women who may be struggling in one or both of those areas?
When it comes to the collaboration piece, I would first say we have to decide that we can't do it alone. We have to have in our mind that I cannot do this by myself and I actually want help. And then, of course, always pray and ask, who should I work with? Who should I be with? And then, like I said, be observant. Don't just be so quick because people have a name or they have a platform or followers that, this person's going to help me. You don't know. So you got to make sure that you are led to the right people to connect with at the right timing. Because sometimes you can be led to the right people, but it's the wrong timing and it will still mess up.
Yeah.
So be ready, be open to want to work with people, be led by it, and then be open to the suggestions and the critiques that people give you. And part of that with the unmasking to be healed. Sometimes if we're not healed, somebody can say something that sounds similar or do something that may be similar to what somebody else did to us that intentionally hurt us. And we automatically bring back all of those feelings, think they're the same person, and we shut down. But when you decide that you're going to work with people, you got to be open to not only them seeing the good, but also seeing the not so good and being okay with them coming to you in a loving way. Now, it's one thing if people are saying it in a nasty way, and then you have to stand up for yourself and say, hey, I don't mind us talking. I don't mind having this conversation, but, we might want to be mindful of the way that we talk to each other. Don't think or try to do everything on yourself. Like Trinae said, like, if you want it to be all about you, then just let it be all about you. And then one of the things, my biggest proponent of collaborating is that when you collaborate with somebody, bring your A game. There's too many times when I've seen people, they are dying to get on your stage and you've seen them do really good things on their own platform or with certain people. And when they come to yours, maybe it's not the compensation that they want. It may not be the crowd that they're looking for, but they agreed, and then they'll bring their D game. So if you're going to collaborate with people, bring your best practices, bring your A game, share what you know, make it, because you're working with them, it's still part of you. Make sure it's the best that you're going to be, but don't just do it just because, you want to get on their platform for whatever reason. But if you're going to do it from a genuine space and bring your A game, your absolute A game.
That is so good, Simene. You pulled out all your power stuff at the end, child. I love it, because let me tell you, it is so important that we present ourselves 110% for whether the audience is 2 people or 2,000 people or 200,000 people, because you never know who is watching. You never know who's going to see it later. Almost everything is recorded these days. And I'll just be honest with you, I have had opportunities that I have missed or that I regret not taking full advantage of because I just made some assumptions about the moment. And, you cannot make any assumptions. You've got to play full out whenever you are given an opportunity. And I just think that is so key. I agree with everything that you said. And I love the fact that you pointed out that a lot of times when we are looking to heal and we are being vulnerable enough to let some things go and to share some things, that we may encounter some situations or some people or some words that would be similar to what hurt us before, and it would cause us to possibly draw back again and to build that wall all over again. But it's just vulnerability takes risk. It takes courage, but it is so worth it on the other side of it, because there's so much for us when we open ourselves up. It's literally like having closed fists, and yeah, you feel safe and you feel secure, but you're not letting anything in. It's like you only got whatever you got in your hand is all you're gonna ever get. But when we open ourselves up, we open ourselves up to receive more. I love that. Thank you for sharing all of those things with us. Now, tell us where we can find you, what wonderful things are happening that we should know about or see, anything you want us to know so that we can find you now that we have heard from you.
Okay. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simene Walden. You can go to my website. It's simenewalden.com. We are reconstructing that, but you can go there for now. Yeah. Social media is probably the best way to contact me. If you want to talk to me personally, you can email me at simenewalden.com. We do have the book anthology mixer that's coming out August 31st in Greenville, Maryland. So it's free to register. You can go on my page and click for the registration. From 4 to 5, we're doing a VIP session for those who pre-order, and that's going to be a round table talk with the ladies who will share more one-on-one with you about things that's not necessarily in the book, or if you read the book, or if you get the book by then, you can ask them more in-depth questions. So that's coming up. And then November the 9th, we will have our second annual Unmasked to Heal conference here in Beltsville, Maryland. So look out for the flyers. If you want to be a sponsor or donate, we'll have the option available to you. But we would love to see all of you guys. And Trinice, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad we was able to have this.
I'm so glad. Yeah. So now when we're in the circles and stuff, we can be like, girl, we chatted already. It was so good to have you here, and I really appreciate you sharing so much. You share so much in such a small bit of time about the work that you do, about the book mixer that's coming up, and your support of collaboration. And I love the title of the book, Unmasking to Heal. And so for those of you all who are watching, please connect with Simene. Show her some real women love. Let her know that we appreciate her joining us tonight. Go to her social media page, like her, love her, follow her, all those things. And then don't hesitate to join August 31st, which sounds like it's going to be an amazing opportunity for you to hear powerful stories from other women, and then maybe possibly have the opportunity to share your own as well. And I want to say thank you for you all tuning in. We are back. It has been a really crazy July and beginning of August. We've been blessed to do a whole lot of exciting things, some filming that is going to be aired on Netflix toward the end of the month, end of the year, beginning of next year. But in lieu of that, we had a couple of weeks of a break. And so we are back and would love for you to join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We won't keep you long, but we will keep you strong, because we are going to share with you a sneak peek of a discussion that is about real life, real women, real stories, things that we are actually dealing with and going through. Don't forget to visit us at realwomenrock.org. August is our break month for our sister circles, but We have an intensive coming up in September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Real Women Are Out of This World. We are literally going to help you catapult yourself beyond where you are right now to where you could never even have dreamed. You wanted to go there, but you feel like it's too late for you. You know, you've done too much in another field of work. Why would you ever start in a different field of work now? That book is never going to get written. You're never going to have the relationship of your dreams. You will never be debt free. We are going to shatter all of those preconceptions at this intensive, because nothing is impossible, first of all, with God, and then with you having the right mindset. And we're going to transform our mindset at this intensive. Join us. Go to realwomenrock.org to our events page so that you can transform with us. We're going to grow together at this intensive. And if you want to become a member of our All Access community, you go to the same place and look for Becoming All Access member. We would love to have you join our community. Thank you again, Simene. It was a pleasure to have you, a blessing for you to be here.
Thank you again so much for having me. Congratulations on filming the movie. Congratulations on all the things you're doing, because I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I check my calendar for September 20th, because that falls in line exactly what I need.
Yeah. So listen, we are an example right now, literally, of how we are supposed to connect, because we both, I put an all call out there, you responded to it, and we are now as a result connecting. And so I look forward to connecting more with you and collaborating with you as well.
Me as well. Thank you so much.
All right. Y'all take care. Have a great night.
All right.
Bye.